So hello and welcome to the first round of the Go Race Promotions E-Series. My name is Matt Nippers and I'll be commentating throughout this round as you join us for the first practice qualifying for the year. So we're focusing on Brent Dixon at the moment at number 13 Dixon Kart Sport Corvette, as he currently tops the session, only driver to have done a time of 1:59.781. Of course, Brent out there doing his best to get used to the balance of performance changes that we made after the practice session. So he gets a little bit taily coming out of the Schumacher S. That does look like as if early indications are that the balance of performance has brought the Corvette back to a more sensible lap time. So, as Dixon gets it all wrong through the final chicane, and he will park that car back into the pits, I'm sure of it. But meanwhile, someone else on track is Matt Southwell in the McLaren 650S. Wonderfully presented number 37 Sticks McLaren. So now Southwell starts his first flying lap in this practice qualifying. Flames belching out the back of the 650. Really spectacular sight. Southwell does look a little bit more comfortable. We're watching him during the practice session and the car did not look very stable, but looks like Matt's been doing a little bit of practice away from the official events. And that car is looking a lot more stable as I say that, he gets out onto that AstroTurf and just gets a little bit too sideways, losing the drive on that slippery AstroTurf. Of course, we are expecting more drivers to join the server during this practice qualifying. This session, of course, does not determine the starting position for the race, but the starting position for our Super Pole session, where each driver gets one lap to take on the track all by themselves. As we stay with Southwell, yeah, that car is looking a lot more stable than what it was during the practice session, so Matt has obviously done a lot of hard work in his own time to work on his car, and it is really paying off so far. So we'll have to wait and see what the lap time is as he comes up to the final chicane or turns in a little early. It gets a good exit. As now Southwell rounds the final corner, powers down the main straight to stop the clock at a 1:59.1. He now tops the session. So Matt Southwell in the number 37 McLaren 650S is at the top of the timesheets after just one lap. Of course, drivers in the practice session were getting into the low 58s as Southwell gets very wide. Will not help his lap times as Brent Dixon is back on track and gets right out of Southwell's way. Southwell comes to the first timing split and not really sure, not getting any data at the moment. Southwell does look a lot more comfortable in that car. Of course, Matt Southwell, over the weekend, he raced with the Go Race Promotions endurance team at Sydney's Eastern Creek International Kart Raceway, and he performed very admirably after not being in a kart for several years. He is definitely on the pace, and our team was looking at a very comfortable position until a mechanical failure at the halfway mark through the race. Saw us have to pull out. As speaking of pulling out, Matt Southwell just goes in a little too hard into the left-hander corner, which has been catching a lot of drivers out throughout the practice session. Southwell will regroup, let the tyres cool down, and then try again. He's already on it again, coming up the hill towards the final chicane. Of course, the driver Southwell gets it all wrong, so maybe that car not quite 100% just yet. But at the moment, Southwell does lead the way on the leaderboard on the left-hand side there. Let's focus back on Brent Dixon, who is back out there again. As that Corvette thunders into turn 1. Slight dab of the brake. Back to second, I would think. Down the hill into this very tight sort of corner. It does punish drivers who go in a little bit too hard, a little too late on the brakes. As he comes down past the first timing split, he's 2/10 down on Matt Southwell's best time. Dixon is in the car, probably the one car that we have been watching the most, as we now see Kurt Woodward is now joining the server. So that makes 2 Corvettes for the first round so far. We're just waiting on the number 26 of Ben Piper. Hopefully Ben Piper will join us. He's notified us that he's having some dramas with his internet, which is a real shame for the number 26 AMG driver. And of course we're waiting for Chris Nipris in the number 61 Corvette to join the server. Right now we're focusing on Brent Dixon as he makes his way up the hill to the final chicane. Let's see if he gets this corner right, stopping the speed trap at 243.8 kilometers per hour. So that Corvette's got got some pretty decent straight line pace. Thunders out of the final corner, down the main straight. Does he go better? He does improve, but he does not take the top spot away from Matt Southwell. Little lock brake there going into turn 1. Dixon is looking to improve on that lap time. He's got Matt Southwell following him. As Dixon very sideways, just clipping that curb a little bit too rough, as he now abandons that lap. So now we focus back on Matt Southwell, who's on his 3rd flying lap of the session. Of course, Matt just came out of the pits. So he sends the McLaren down to the bottom hairpin. Oh, very, very aggressive on the turn-in. So he makes his way up the hill, gets a little bit of curb, a little bit more curb through the chicane, but overall Southwell looking very strong. Does get that left-hander much better this time. Flames belching at the back of that 650 again. This lap is looking a lot tidier for Southwell. Have to wait and see what time he sets at the end of this lap, as he does not get the chicane right. So his driver's already pushing really hard in this session, as that was a bit clumsy from Southwell. That final chicane is incredibly hard to judge. And Southwell goes again. See what he stops the speed trap at. Hasn't given us any data. We'll have to look into that a little bit later. So Southwell brings it around turn 2 and down into turn 3. McLaren looking a lot more stable than what it was during practice. We touched on that earlier. But Southwell is just starting to look a lot more comfortable in the 650. We're also hoping to see Tony Hutcho in the number 912 Porsche 911 to hopefully come onto the server and get his 2020 championship started. So we're just focusing on Southwell as he gets through that uphill left-right, the Schumacher chicane, as he gets the left-hander wrong again. So he's just trying to leave his braking a little too late, and that is hurting him. Overall, Southwell is looking a little bit more comfortable. So we can hear one of the Corvettes is back out there again, and that would be Brent Dixon. As we're watching Southwell, he does get that final chicane a lot better this time. He doesn't set a time this time round. So Southwell probably just struggling for a little bit of consistency, maybe trying to push too hard. But at the moment, Southwell is topping the timesheets. Still following Southwell at the moment. He got that left-hander a little bit better this time. Can he get it out? Coming down the hill a lot better. He does get a good exit. So this looks like a very strong time already from Southwell. As he comes up to the final chicane, he's just got to get this corner right. And it does look like he does. He gets it right perfectly, actually, for Southwell. As he brings it around the final corner. This should be an improvement on the 159.1. What does he stop the clock at? He stops the clock at a 158.2, so Southwell dominating at the moment. However, still got 33 minutes left in this session. And Southwell very happy with that time. As we go back to Brent Dixon. See if, yes, Kurt Woodward is out on track at the moment in the second of the DKS Corvettes, as this is his out lap. So Woodward rounds the final corner to start his first flying lap of the session. So here comes the number 9. The black, green and orange Corvette. Woodward. During practice he was having all sorts of dramas, trying to stop the right-hand front tyre from locking up. So that would be a major weak point for the Corvettes in this session. As I say that, he does lock a brake, so this Corvette is not officially a GT3 car, but the GTE Corvette. So it does not, while it runs traction control, it does not have ABS. So while the Corvette is very strong around most of the tracks, it does have a weak point of not having ABS. As, speak of the devil, we now see Chris Nipris joining the server. So the number 61 Corvette, he topped the timesheets. And he is now here, ready to take on the first round of the series. So we stick with Kurt Woodward for now. Down the hill, doesn't use all the space. That Corvette thunders down the hill up to the final chicane. As he does get the final chicane perfectly, as locking the brake into the final hairpin. That would cost him a little bit of time, but we'll see what he stops the clock at. And he does a 2:07 as you can see right there, the number 61 Corvette is now out on track. So Chris Nipris, he is here. He is on track. He's ready to continue a dominating performance after practice. He set a I think it was a 1:57 in the practice session. Absolutely demoralising for other drivers. But a balanced performance adjustment, sure to bring him back to the field. There's just 2 more drivers we're waiting on now. Obviously Ben Piper, he's having internet problems. Hopefully he gets that sorted out and he gets that number 26 AMG on the track. And we're also waiting for Tony Hutcho in the 912 Porsche 911. Come and join us. So we stick with Kurt Woodward as he's on his second flying lap. Oh, big lock up again. So that's probably one thing that the Corvette drivers are really going to have to manage in the 1-hour race. I haven't really heard anything from any of the drivers about tyre wear. So maybe this race drivers will be able to get away with one set of tyres instead of having to change tyres, but that's what all the testing was done in the fun races to work out what offers the best balance between strategies, as Woodward goes up to second with a 1:59.4. So Woodward improves. He's still 1.2 seconds off the pace of Matt Southwell. Unfortunately, we're not getting any sector times for Kurt Woodward. As we say that, Brent Dixon just moves up to second on the leaderboard. Just saw that on the left-hand side of the screen. So Brent Dixon up to second now, 1.1 off of Southwell's time. So, of course, we're still experimenting with our balance of performance, but we may have to readjust that again just to bring the Corvettes back up. It's all learning experience, and hopefully we get it right for the 1 hour race. As Woodward only just keeps the car on track that time round. Gets a lovely exit. Now the right-hander coming down the hill, up towards the final chicane. Wait and see if he gets through there. Those sausage curves on the inside of the corners have been catching a lot of drivers out. Ben Piper was really slapping them hard. It was unsettling the AMG. But now Woodward goes up to a 1:59.3. So we now wait to see what Nipris can do, as he sets the 4th fastest time at 2:02.6. So Nipris possibly made a slight mistake somewhere on that lap. Running the RFS livery. Promoting the donations towards the RFS units. And if you do have any money you'd like to give to your local RSF unit, please go to the website on the side of the number 61. Just see it there, the rfs.nsw.gov.au, and make your donation there. As we do have a question. It was asked 2 minutes ago. Sorry about missing that, Ruka. He asked, what track is this? This is the Nürburgring. Based out of Germany. This track has been around for quite some time. See its more famous counterpart, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, the oldest version of the track. So we're running on the Grand Prix circuit with the GT chicane. Continue following Chris Nipris on his way to the final chicane. Quick left, right. Does catch out a lot of drivers as Nipris gets it wrong that time. He maybe carried a little bit too much pace into the corner. As he powers out of the final corner. And he stops the clock at a 2:05. So Chris Nipris may be doing some final race setup. So we still have 24 minutes left in this session. Still plenty of time for Nipris to improve that time and get onto the top of that leaderboard. Of course, just a reminder that this session only sets the order that the drivers take to the track. In the next session, which is our Super Pole, or the shootout if you prefer, each driver gets the whole track to themselves for 1 lap to set the best time they possibly can. Number 61 thunders down the hill, and that rather tricky right-hander powers his way up to the final chicane, on the brakes hard, tips it in, Stays away from those sausage curbs. Now makes his way to the final hairpin, rounds the final corner. This is looking like a very strong lap. It's looked very smooth, very clean, and he stops the clock at 1:59.6. So Southwell still tops the leaderboard with a 1:58.2. Kurt Woodward now back in second, just an absolute fraction over 1 second behind Southwell. Brent Dixon 1.1 seconds off the pace, and Chris Nippers 1.4 off the pace. Dixon currently in the pits. We're getting down to that time of the session where drivers start putting on their qualifying setups and start driving for real. So maybe Dixon just making that is a very, I'd say, a little internet connection issue there for us. I haven't really got anything to say about that. I'm sure someone will clip that and we'll get featured somewhere. Another message from Ruka, juicy desync. Yeah, gotta love that internet, those internet problems. First world issues. So continuing following Ypres for now, as we'll see if he can get into the 158s and try and match Southwell. He gets that final chicane a lot better. Pulls it up for the final corner. Got to get the car rotated quickly. You've got to be patient on the throttle. As he fires down the main straight, stops the clock at a 1:59.1. He now goes to second. Less than a second off Southwell's pace. So Chris Nippers, he is making those little tiny improvements to his lap time. And I'm pretty certain that the number 61 will be in race trim at the moment, not qualifying trim. As we swap back to our pole man at the moment, it's Matt Southwell, and that number's 37 McLaren 650S. As we alluded to earlier, Southwell, he's made a bit of a comeback actually. He absolute shocker in practice, could not get within 1.7 seconds of Chris Nippers' time, and now he tops the leaderboard. And now he's looking to go even better, 2/10 up on his own best lap. So Southwell really improving between official practice and today. He doesn't quite get it pulled up for the bottom carousel and fires the McLaren up the hill into the Schumacher S. Stays away from the curb this time, so interesting line from Southwell. Everyone else seems to be slapping the curb, but doesn't quite get it slowed down enough for the left-hander. Once again, that left-hander catching Southwell out, and now the right-hander catching Southwell out. So that will not have helped his lap time, as he sends the McLaren up the hill towards the final chicane. Another corner that gets a lot of drivers mixed up, as it gets Southwell mixed up, crashes over that sausage curb. He does manage to keep it all together. He will not improve his lap time this time round, I do not think. He stops the clock at a 1:59.3. As Chris Nippers is now into the pits. We'll probably see Nippers come out with his good setup soon. Southwell took the top time very early in the session. Maybe he went a little too early. Not really sure. Gets the McLaren pulled up for the downhill run into turn 3. Rotated around turn 4. doesn't use too much exit space this time round. Very tempting to go wide, but that AstroTurf, just on the other side of that exit curb, it is like driving on ice, and it will just pirouette the car into one of the walls on either side of the track. Southwell looking very smooth this time round. Can he get it pulled up for the carousel? As he does, but it sounded like he went back too many gears that time. Heard him downshift, then upshift immediately. Comes up through the Schumacher S, grabs a little bit of curb this time round. We'll wait to see what he sets in the second split. He's 3/10 up. So Southwell, he is improving on his own lap time. Maybe we have gone a little overboard with the BOP adjustments. We'll probably address that in between practice qualifying and the Super Pole. So Southwell brings it up the hill towards the final chicane again. Gets it nice and smooth over the exit curb. And he grabs that inside curb. You don't really want to do that on this track. And he gets into the 157s now. So Southwell really stamping his authority on this session. 16 minutes left in this session. Are we going to start seeing drivers pulling out their big setups now, as Brent Dixon now takes second place on the tower as we watch Southwell rotate the McLaren a little too far as we join Brent Dixon now. He brings it around turn 3, over the curb at turn 4. Not too much exit space. So he comes up towards the first sector, 2/10 down on Southwell. He can make that up though. The Corvette has been really stable in all the fun races around the corners. Of course, the GTE cars producing a little bit more downforce, a little bit more mechanical grip, which is why we've had to do so many balance and performance adjustments. This is why this car is so strong. So balanced up through the center, Schumacher S. So he's lost a bit of time. Maybe he wasn't aggressive enough through the carousel. He brings it down the hill towards the final chicane. Doesn't quite get that right. He had to have a second go at the brakes in the middle of the chicane. Ideally, it just wants to be one smooth motion. As Brent Dixon sets a 159.2. It's not going to be enough to improve. It's actually slower than his previous time, so Dixon actually into the 158s now. Corvettes are very close at the moment. All three Corvettes separated by less than 3/10. Dixon comes into the bottom carousel. Bit of a brake lock up. Nonetheless, fires the Corvette up the hill again towards the Schumacher S. Maybe a little too aggressive on the left-hand curve. Comes up towards the second sector time. It's much better. 0.4 down on Southwell. So this could be a low 58 if Dixon can keep it together. Maybe prove me wrong that we actually don't need a balance performance adjustment. It's a little wide, grabs a bit of dirt, but this will be a strong time. It's a 1:58.6, now just 7/10 off of Southwell's time, as Dixon will be parking that car in the pits, as we will join his teammate Kurt Woodward, the second of the DKS Corvettes. The number 9 gets it way too hot going into the final chicane, so seems to always happen for me. We focus on a driver and they make a mistake immediately. So Woodward now abandons that lap. So we now focus on Chris Nipris again. The only other car currently on track at the moment. So he's now coming down towards Carousel. Rounds Carousel, that car looking very, very balanced. Fires the car up the hill. So that Corvette is riding the curves really nicely. Number 61. Looking in good form at the moment. He was absolutely dominant in the practice session about 2 weeks ago. And maybe struggling just with the balance performance adjustments. So he now stops the clock at 1:59.1. Unfortunately, one of the Dixon Kart Sport cars just exits the pits at the wrong time, although he does get out of the way nicely for Chris Nipris. Nipris flashing those lights, making sure that must be Kurt Woodward. Just saw the flash of orange on that Corvette behind the number 61. A bit sideways under acceleration for Nipris. Get a sector time for Nipris, not quite. So obviously that app not really working at the moment. A big lock-up for Nipris. Chris Nipris really pushing the limit in his C7R. That Chris Nipris also has been playing around with the Sim Masters. Had a change of car for the recent round they had at the Adelaide Street Circuit, running around in the Porsche Carrera Cup. Maybe Nipris having a bit of trouble just adjusting back to the big Corvette. Of course, obviously the biggest differences is the engine position. Corvette, the engine is in the front, and the Porsche is located behind the rear wheel as Nipris slaps that sausage curve, and he now abandons this lap. So 8.5 minutes to go. It looks like Southwell may have got this session wrapped up. So we now join Kurt Woodward as he starts his first flying lap of this stint. Flies down the hill into turn 1. Big stop, but he does get it pulled up without locking that brake, so maybe Woodward has got his brakes sorted out. In practice, we were watching him sending smoke signals every single lap going into the hairpin. As he pulls the C7 up again, gets it rotated, misses the apex slightly. We'll wait to see what the sector times say as he stops it 0.1 down. So Woodward at the moment, he is set to improve his own lap time. Maybe not. Oh, speaking of sorting out his brakes, he gets a big lock-up. As the track falls away from you at that point. So now Woodward down into the bottom carousel. Does he lock a brake again? He does. So Woodward's still having the same problems he was having in practice. Sends the big Corvette up the hill again, grabs plenty of curb. Wait to see what his second split is as he brings it up 0.4 down. Bit of a slide, bit of oversteer. Gathers it up nicely as he gets it through that downhill right-hander. Unlike everyone else, Woodward's not using all the exit space there, so Woodward a little bit more conservative than his Corvette counterparts. He comes up to the final chicane. Does he get it pointed in? He does. Car's actually looking very balanced through there. Bit of a lock-up again. Gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit, but he stops the clock. It will be a low 158. It's a 158.3. So now Woodward, he's in striking range of Southwell in this session. And misses his braking marker. Goes in way too deep. Misses the apex by a mile. So now the guy who topped practice, Chris Nipris, he is at the bottom of the leaderboard. Although that is only fourth at the moment. So Chris Nipris at this stage will be first out the gate for the Super Pole session. As that's the big Corvette down the hill, although this lap is not really going to mean much for Woodward. Messed up the first corner, so instead we're going to jump to his teammate Brent Dixon. Not really sure. Good lap now. He's got Chris Nipris in front of him. So that was his out lap. So under 5 minutes to go. Let's see if these drivers are going to throw everything they have at Matt Southwell. The only driver in the 57s at the moment, in the McLaren 650S. Plenty of exit space. What will he stop the first sector at? He's 0.6 down, so he's made a mistake somewhere. We've missed it somewhere during this lap. Dixon now brings it down to the bottom carousel. Big lock-up, 2 lock-ups. That's something these drivers are going to have to manage on the Corvette. No ABS, of course. Oh, Dixon gets it wrong through the Schumacher S. He is on the ragged edge with that Corvette. As this lap is going to be a ride-off. He has dropped too much time. So we're going to focus on Chris Nipris and the number 61, Corvette. Comes up to the final chicane. 61 is looking a lot quicker this time round. Very smooth through the chicane. Brings it into the final hairpin. Powers out down the main straight. What is he going to stop the clock at? It's going to be a quick time. It's a 1:57.8. He has just pipped Southwell on top of the leaderboard. So Nip 0.006 of a second. Unbelievable. That is unbelievably close from these 4 drivers. 1 second separates the entire field. And of course, if you're out there watching this stream and you're liking what you see, you can join the action yourself. Simply visit our Facebook page, Go Race, the Go Race Promotions E-Series on Facebook, or Go Race Promotions on Facebook, as Nipris is bettering his own time by 0.012 of a second. So Nipris is on a flyer. With just over 2 minutes left in this session, Nipris will be able to have another stab at this if he wants. Just got to hold it together for this lap. He maybe doesn't get it pointed in the way he wanted it to, but he powers out. Of course, that corner, you can miss the first part of the corner and then get it tipped in for a late apex and get maximum drive up the hill. So we'll see what Nipris stops the second sector at. It's 2/10 up. So Chris Nipris, he is on his qualifying setup. He means business right now, as he grabs way too much curb, way too much exit space. So that lap is a write-off, I would assume. All the time he made up throughout the lap, he is not going to better his own time, but he'll have time for one more stab. So we see just over 1 minute left in this session. But as we were saying, if you wish to join in on the E-Series, it's very simple. You can follow us on the Facebook page, either Go Race Promotions or the Go Race Promotions E-Series Facebook page, or you can email us at gorace_events@outlook.com. You can get involved. All you need is a set of Corsa and a couple of DLC packs. Nipris at the top of the leaderboard at the moment. He'll go out last for the Super Pole session. We're going to see if anyone else might be able to top that time. Woodward is actually up. Woodward is up in the second sector by 0.074 of a second. So it is really coming alive in these dying seconds of this session. So Woodward just needs to hold it together and he will propel himself up the leaderboard. He's just got this treacherous final chicane to go, and he will improve his lap times as the checkered flag does come out. So this is the final roll of the dice for Woodward. Maybe drops a little bit too much pace for the final chicane, final hairpin, sorry. So he fires it out of the final corner, and he stops the clock third, so he just knocks his teammate out of the way. And he is now 0.3 of a second off Southwell's pace. At that gap right there, we'll wait to see what Dixon can do. So he brings his own Corvette, the number 13 Dixon Kart Sport car, up the hill. As he misses the apex big time, he is not going to improve. We'll wait to see what Chris Nipris can do. No, Chris Nipris is going to abandon this lap. He is satisfied. He has topped the leaderboard. Matt Southwell in the pits. He's unable to do anything to stop that. So we hope you've enjoyed the live stream of practice, and we will bring you the Super Pole set.